Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Jaden Lewis, and we're down here at the MMC Gamuda booth. We've got a lovely panel of guests this morning. We are talking to Miss Audrey, we are talking to Mr. Lee and Mr. Poe. What we're talking about this morning is design and sustainable mobility. So we're going to kick off with a couple of questions. Our first question goes out to the whole panel. And firstly, thank you very much for your time. I'm sure you're very, very busy and highly in demand. So we won't take up too much of your time. But the first question today is, what are some of the most distinctive design features of the MRT Line 1 and 2?
Maybe I'll start first.
Sure.
I think what the public first see is the architectural expression of the station, which I should say that is very impressive. For the elevator, we have the very distinct walk-off expression, and for the underground, we have the quartz theme. And for individual underground station, we even have a station like Madika with a very strong national independence theme. I think the public really loves it. Now the challenge for us is how do we do it better in upcoming Line 2. Maybe the other panel member want to comment about this.
Yeah. Right. When we talk about creating a special features, it's actually about striking a good balance between practicality, constructability, affordability, and aesthetic. So we always want to have a Malaysian flavor in creating these special features for the MRT. We have structural features and architectural features for our Line 1 and Line 2. If you note, for SBK line, which is the first line, we have a fluted piers or columns for our structures, and which resemblance of a flaring of a palm tree at the top section of the pier structures. We continue to improve it, and it will be a signature for our Line 2, that is SSP line. Whereas for the architectural portion, for both MRT lines, we actually created special line identity for each line. If you note, for Line 1, that is SBK line, we have walk-off design line identity, while SSP line have this Serambi line identity. Yeah.
Hi, I'm the architect, working with collaboration with a lot of the engineers and our own team and consultants. But importantly is that when we do an MRT project like this, the Malaysian flavor is very important. We want people to be able to take a photo and say, this is KL, and nobody else will say that, I don't know where you are, So the picture will tell 1,000 words. So for Line 1, we have the Wakaf, and the Wakaf comes from the inspiration of the pavilion design in the paddy field. So that's a very unique design worldwide for modern MRT design. So if you look at our design, the roof form takes preeminence in the architecture. So for Line 2, so that's very Malaysian. And Line 2, we follow the same ethnic theme. We brainstorm, and then the theme that we selected is called the Serambi. The Serambi is, as you know, is a porch. Before you enter the house, it's a welcoming place, very airy. So all our stations elevated stations are naturally ventilated. So you have to have airiness, and then you want the Malaysian theme. So Serambi upcoming, you will see Line 2, beautiful architecture that gives you the idea of a porch, welcoming, and yet it's a modern MRT design. So this is what we strive to do. Line 1 already, and then Line 2. So underground has its features, elevator has its features, but when the tourists come to KL and ride on our train, a beautiful train, the stations, as an architect, stands out.
No, I agree. I love it. I think all of it's fantastic so far. It looks very good. So the next area that I wanted to talk about is BIM and CSD. So for the folks at home and for the folks here as well, if you could give us a basic idea of what BIM is and what also CSD is.
Yeah, I think I'll start first, as usual. I think BIM is embracing the latest digital engineering advancement in the way that we actually coordinate our workflow. So the traditional workflow is very much based on paper. We actually work out to actually make sure that all the integration and interfaces between different disciplines are coordinated during design phase, and thus reduce the amount of abortive work during construction. So it's a big step that we undertaken in line 2, and we are probably one of the first in Asia to actually require BIM level 2 maturity in railway infrastructure project. And this is demonstrated by the recent award we just got from the Bendy Be Inspired. And we are one of the 3 finalists in the rail and transit category, and we emerged the winner, from the competition. I think it gives a lot of recognition to the work that we have done so far, embracing BIM in our day-to-day design work, And maybe I'll let the rest talk about the CSD coordination process.
All right. Maybe I just slightly detailed than Mr. Po. Basically, CSD actually is known as a cable combined services drawings. It actually provides what you call this a comprehensive picture of all the cable containments, and also it shows drainage, utilities, routines of all design disciplines in a common drawings environment that is in 2D form. Whereas BIM, which is normally known as Building Information Management, is actually a technology where Mr. Po has described. It actually captures all the 2D drawings the designers have completed their design, and together with the CSD drawings, this technology actually combines both of these informations and transform them into a 3D models digital platform. All right. We will say that by doing this, what the BIM can actually do is it actually enables all the stakeholders to, namely the design team, whether it's a civil and structural designers or a system designers, and together with our construction teams and our project owners, we are able to collaborate this in a single digital platform. That is the wonder part of the BIM. By having built up all these BIM models, all parties can actually participate in what we call a VDR. In a long form, we call it virtual design review. It actually enables all the stakeholders to ensure, as what Mr. Po have mentioned, that it gives proper coordination and integrations of all the electrical, mechanical, and the real system components in order to identify the potential clashes and preempt any abortive works in future. It actually gives a huge benefit to the construction industry. With this technology, it has a time and cost saving to it.
So time and cost savings are the really big things that we get out of using CSD, then BIM, and then getting into the virtual side of things as well. So that's interesting.
Basically, process is always being improved as you are in the 21st century. In the old days, how do they go to the moon, or how do we build our MRT in other places and some of the other earlier projects? Carefully. So the process of integrating architecture, drainage still remains. It's just that today, with the help of all these 3D CAD drawings, visualization tools, it is, I would say, more dramatic, As everybody goes along, everybody works together in so-called a virtual environment, and you can see what everybody else is doing. Probably in the past, you still go through that kind of process. It's just less visual and maybe more risky, and you take more time. At least today, we all try to resolve problem up front so that the problems are better resolved at the site. That does not mean there's no problem, but at least everybody up front are able to see what one another is doing. In the past, it's a bit more cumbersome, but the process is the same, coordinating, resolving problem, just a little bit much better today.
So it's evolving and creating more transparency for all the parties involved, getting everyone in together.
And I think the key thing is to how we manage the information exchange between the different parties. We have a big team working on the size of our projects. So for our BIM, common data environment, we ensure that there's a single platform to control all the information exchange. And currently we have about 1,500 users on the common data environment. We have produced about 3,600 BIM models, and there's about 45,000 documents in our system, and we are handling about 750 gigabyte of information. That to a lot of people is huge amount of information to be managed, and we need to manage it well. So embracing digital engineering advancement, I think, is the future, and we need to embrace it now, to enable our productivity to be improved. We expect productivity to improve about 35%, but to me, I think that is quite a conservative estimate. We hope to actually get concrete data during construction stage to verify, our estimate. We hope to do even better than the 35% that we actually predicted. Yeah.
In fact, our boss, for our project director, Mr. Param, he's getting available iPad so that as the team is constructing, you can actually review and see how the architecture, the engineering, and all these other services integrate, so that you actually have the picture in front of you, and that's what he meant by all the BIM models in one place on site.
That's very interesting. So by using the iPad and integrating everyone on the same app, that transparency it's literally in your pocket then. Yeah, that's extremely powerful. So would you say that here in Malaysia we're further advanced than a lot of other neighboring countries?
I think for us, I will be confident to say that we embrace digital engineering advancement. It requires all supply chain to come to work together. I think we should always stay at the forefront of the digital advancement. And we understand CIDB maybe will mandate, in year 2020 for major project works to be using BIM. But why do it in future? We should do it now. So I think MRT Corporation, we are prepared to lead the industry in this area and provide a showcase to benefit the industry at large. And we will share our experience by, our journey through BIM.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mr. Pai. Final question. How have you been able to adopt your processes to incorporate consistently evolving technology into the design?
Okay. So I think the big step we took in line 2 is that we prescribe in the tender requirement itself, for things like BIM, and we also bring in latest technology like 3D scanning to verify as-built conditions. We are actually experimenting using drones, to monitor construction progress. Those are some of the examples of how we bringing latest engineering technology into our day-to-day project executions. We foresee that we will continue to do so, and probably even more in line 3. I think a lot of people has been talking about the future line 3. I can't reveal much because it's still in a confidential stage, but something that we are looking at to see how we can actually transform the paper process to a paperless process, more to a more automated process, like the virtual design review that we have, and try to go away with the traditional paper review process. That's something that we will hope to experiment. And another area is more on the sustainability area. We hope to have a more structural process and more visibility in terms of tracking the green initiative that we adopt in our railway projects. We have done a lot, in line 1 and line 2. There are a lot of green features, but probably we didn't have a structural process to document them. Probably our other panel members will have some comments on it.
Basically, Malaysia is already stressing very much on the green building index and building sustainability. Only thing is that the green building index is already very much used in the industry, but for buildings. It currently does not have one specific tailored for the transit. But that does not mean that the transit doesn't have green features. In fact, a lot of the things that are already done for the transit station are the same as what is being done for buildings. For example, saving water, water harvesting, using LED, control stop for the escalators and stairs, natural ventilation, and so on and so forth. specifically for our type of transit project that other people may not have, a larger issue of connectivity and sustainability like energy saving, conservation. So we have like harvesting the energy of the train stopping, the third rail, re-engineering the brakes, the energy. Then we also have other features like recycling in the depot, a big solar panel for washing the trains, the water and energy saving. So there are a lot of those things that are like what Mr. Poh said, not technically quantified at this time. It's already done. So perhaps the next step.
I just add on. Although it is not a mandatory requirement, actually, MRTC together with PDP here has put in a lot of great effort in ensuring all the designs, whether it's elevated stations or underground station, to be sustainable. Yeah. So I think that is a trend forward for us.
That's a great point, and it's something that we don't often hear about in the general public. We don't hear about these things, but they're amazing stuff that's being implemented in the new Tesla cars and all this sort of stuff. So it's interesting to see that this is actually going on already. But folks, I don't want to take up any more of your time. You've already been very gracious, so thank you very much, Mr. Poh, Mr. Lee, Miss Audrey. I appreciate it, and there you have it, folks. We've got some fantastic information here from the experts in the field. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.